Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. So welcome to the next sessions of presentations. So I would like to present about our next chapter, which is chapter 4, regardless on actor in IR. Okay. So without wasting any time, so let's start. Okay. When you talk about international relations, it's like a movie. Okay. So it has its own actor. It's like a movie that the actor of the movie has its own role, and it seems like IR. For example, you know, every occasion, for example, conflict or event, so must be someone that create or initiate the event. Okay, so let's look at the actor of IR itself. Okay, so basically in international relations or in the international system, so the actors of IR being divided by two big types. Okay, so the first is what we call as state actor. Okay, later I will let you know what is actually about the state actor itself, and then the next the second uh, will be notified as a non-state actor. Okay, other than state actor. Okay, so that one I will also explain on other slide. So this is the introductions. Okay, in diplomacy, international law, journalism, and also academic analysis. So this is widely assumed that IR consists of the relation between coherent unit called state. State are very powerful in international system as well as IR. State are so dominant, and state actually create what is currently happen in international system. So a broader context by analyzing the relationship between governments and many other actors. So we have five category. Okay, so the first, what I say before, which is the state actor. Okay, state actor is the government. Okay, it's the state itself. Okay, no others influence, only state. Okay, more than 200 country. So were member of UN, and every state has their own sovereignty. So that's why they are very absolute in international system. And then the next will be the non-state actor. Okay, the non-state actor. The first is IGO, or we call it as international regime or international government organization. That also represent a state, but in terms of IGO, is not has interest like the state itself. For example, US has their own interest, but if UN, so we don't see any state in UN have own purpose in that organization. So that's why IGO is considered as non-state actor, or we call it as international regime. International regime. Okay. So it is not can by representing the organization is not actually the same feeling or the same result when you're representing your own state, because in state you have state interest, okay, what we call as national interest. So state will look international system as anarchy, the borderless state, the lawless, don't have law, the state system are anarchy. But yet when you become an international government, you bound to agreement, you bound to the chartered, for example, UN has a charter, you have to bound. Okay, every member of UN need to bound, need to bound with the UN charter. So that's why international governments, IGO, are not the same like the first class, which is state. Okay, so that's why it's considered as non-state actor. And then next will be the TNC or MNC. Okay, transnational corporate companies or multinational company, MNC. For example, has a lot. Okay, not only uh, you know, American companies, you can check also. Malaysian also had a lot of MNC, for example, Petronas, or the biggest Microsoft, the biggest in the world, and a lot lah. So this MNC and TNC play a vital role as a non-state actor in international relations because they can, interfere any state law and also rules. Okay, so that's why. And also they have franchise throughout the world. Okay, the next will be NGO. Okay, international non-governmental organization such as, for example, in worldwide, which is Amnesty International, Greenpeace. They have their own commitment. Okay, throughout the activities, and they are also considered as a non-state actor in IR because they have also influence in justify and giving some ideas towards the international system. And the last, when 2011, 9/11, 2001 happened, okay, and Wall Street Center being demolished by the terrorist group, and from that, um, a lot of states have their influence in terrorism. So that's why some scholar and also Jackson also initiate that terrorists should be one of the non-state actor as a play role, in the international system. So until now, we still most of the state still infected in terms of terrorism activity. Okay, this is state actor. Okay, so this is what we call nation state. Okay, ideally, a state actor, they consider as their nation state. So they're representing, joining a nation state. Now all nation is unite within its own state, and the people of that state overwhelmingly identify with the nation. Their sense of belonging. For example, if you are Malaysians, your sense you are bound to become Malaysian. So anything that happen to the Malaysia, so you self automatically, react to that issues. Okay, bangsa Malaysians. Okay, nation. So what is nation? Okay, people who shares demographic and also culture similarity. So possess a feeling of community, mutual identify as a group distance from others group, and then want to control themselves in terms of politically. And a nation's integrable. Integrable means you cannot see with your clear eyes, because for example, the sense of patriotism, how we can see the sense of patriotism, the sense of belonging, how strong you are, your patriotism towards the nation, we cannot see. It exists because member thinks it does. Okay, it does. So state, okay, a state is a country. Okay, it's a tangible situations. So principal actors on the state is on the world stage. Okay, so state will always be at the top. Okay, actor in the international system. State continue to dominate the actions, to act with independence in a largely in an anarchical, horizontally structured international system. Okay, despite to pivotal role of sovereign state, so they are not the only system level actor. So there are significant centralized forces that are slowly transforming the system into a somewhat more vertical authority and also structure. So governments and also state leaders, so they have responsible in the state itself. Okay, nationalism, as I said, so it's an ideology, a complex of related ideas that establish value about what is good and bad. Okay, so direct adherence on how to act. For example, the act of patriotism. Okay, so link together this who adherence to the ideology, distinguish them from those who do not, connect individually, their sense of community, and their political identity in contradictions, okay, to others' nation. So this is about nationalism lah. Okay. So the links are constructed when individual become sentimentally attached to the homeland. For example, as I said, the self sense of belonging. Okay. So for example, if you support one team, so if you find other groups that support your team also, so you will be more sense of belonging with them. So this is what the contrast of nationalism. And gain a sense of identity, self-esteem through their nation identifications, and it's motivated to help the country. Okay, nationalism is an ideology that holds the nation should be the primary political identity of individual. So a nationalist ideology maintains that the paramount political loyalty of individuals should be patriotically extend to the nation state, the political vehicle of the nation's self-governance. Okay, so if you are nationals, you always protect state first. Every decision that you make, you may think state first. So that's why we call it a national interest. Okay, so you think of state first. Is it benefit to the state to join this organization? Is it benefit to the state to going to lead for the war, for example? So to engage the conflict, so they will think take state first. If goods, they will go. If not goods, they will take for the plan B or backup, or they will step behind. Okay, this is IGO. Okay, consists of country. Now IGO share the space of IR with states in IR. So an organization comprised primarily of sovereign state, what we call as the member state, or of other intergovernmental organization. IGO is an important aspect of international law. IGO are established by treaty that act as a charter, as I said before, creating the groups. So treaty are formed when lawful representative governments of several states go through a ratify process, so providing the IGO with an international legal personality. So intergovernmental organization in the legal sense should be distinguished from simple groupings or coalitions of state. So IGO must also be distinguished from treaty. So you can see how actually IGO are bound to the treaty itself. As I said before, although IGO be represented by the state, but yet they are bound to the treaty. So the state has limited influence in the international system by representing the IGO, rather than become a sovereign state. Because you are legitimate and also fully control on your state. You can actually influence in any occasions. So this is two big picture that representative a different purpose. So many treaties such as the NAFTA before the establishment of the WTO, World Trade Organizations. So do not establish an organization and instead rely purely on the parties of their administration become legally recognized as an ad hoc commissions. So IGO differ in function. So its memberships criteria, so they have various goal and scope, they have visions, and also they often outline in the treaty or charter. Some IGO develop the fulfill a need for a natural forum for debate and also negotiations to resolve dispute. For example, we have ASEAN Regional Forum, we have Security Council in United Nations itself, we have ASEAN Summit. So the engagement of the members, so inlinely, indirectly, may result to the negotiation process and also a peace dispute. Okay, in terms, for example, if state member involved in crisis between a state member. Okay, objective to preserve peace through conflict resolutions and better IR. Promote international cooperations on matters such as environmental protections. It also promote human rights, social development, humanitarian, and also economic development. So some are more general in scope, for example, United Nations. So while others may have subject-specific missions. For example, EAEC is Asia Economic Caucus. They have specific missions. Okay, OPEC. Okay, focusing on the oil itself. So OIC for Islamic State. So some organization they have their own purpose. Okay, this is Arab League. Arab League, Liga Arab. And then this the next will the blue color will be the United Nations. We have ASEAN also, and also EU. Okay, types. I have two. One is worldwide, and one is regional. Worldwide, simple. The mission will be anyone can involve, anyone can join. Okay, if regional, it depends on the region itself. For example, ASEAN. ASEAN in Southeast Asia we have 11 states, so only these 11 states can join ASEAN. Okay, same like African Union and also the OSC and also the EU. The third will be the culture, linguistic, ethnical, religious. For example, OIC, they represent Islamic Commonwealth nations, so only the Commonwealth state. Economic organization, as I said, WTO, IMF, OPEC, they think about economics purpose. So this is the United Nations. Okay, this is the General Assembly, Security Council. Okay, you can see the pictures here. Okay, NGO, non-governmental organization, is a term that has made widely accepted as referring to a legally constitute and created by natural or legal person with no participations or representations of any government. So unlike IGO, NGO is a term in general use, but it's not a legal definition. So in many jurisdictions, this type of organization are defined as civil society organization. So there are many type of organizations. So a part of NGO, often alternative term are used for the example is independent sector, voluntary sector, civil society, grassroots organization, transnational social movement, gerakan social, private voluntary organization, self-help organization, and also non-state actor, NSA. The influence of NGO of both national governments, and international diplomacy is growing. Until now, people are more rely on NGO if they feel that state cannot no longer can deal with that situation. So their numbers increasing as technological advance allows them to operate more actively across political boundaries. NGO also provide increased opportunities for individuals to become involved in the global affairs. Okay, MNC. As known as transnational corporations, so it also companies that supply productions, facilities, sale outlets, for example, H&M, Tesco, Giant, so other operation in more than one country. So long existed, now rapidly grow, vast expansions, international trade, investment, other financial interactions. So this is the example of NGO, MNC, sorry. So MNC is a money source of power in IR. Okay, they have money, so they can create and generate the world. Therefore, the economic giant exercise considerable influence over the course of events. Some ideas of the economic power of the MNC can be gained from comparing. For example, you can see the gross corporate products, okay, total revenue versus the GNP, okay, measures to all goods, services produced by country citizens and business of various countries. So if you can see, for example, the superpower state, okay, they have being controlled by the MNC. For example, American, they rely on the MNCs. China rely on the MNCs. British rely on the MNC. So this is the gaining power, okay, for the state itself for international system survival. Okay, the last will be the terrorist group, okay, type of transnational actor. So this organization bring together private individual who attack civilians and use other method to inflict physical and also physical psychological pain. So terrorism is not new, but a number of changes in the international system have made it easier for such group to operate. Okay, so this is terrorist group. So increasing terrorist group are able to travel more fun and also communicate globally with easy. It also increasingly able to inflict massive damage. For example, 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center. It also possibility of terrorists using biological, also chemical and nuclear or radiological weapon. Okay, for example, so it is if let's say nuclear weapon uh, fall to the terrorist group, so it might give danger throughout the international system. The insecurity of international system is fragile. And add to the International Atomic Agency (IAEA) 2008, there are 130 terrorist organizations with the potential to mount an attack using such a weapon. So it's a big, huge amount. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you for your hearing, and will I will meet you on the next session, on the next video session. Okay. So thank you so much. Stay safe.